Hi guys, my name is Sybil and welcome to Take 254. So I just got finished watching the first four episodes of season 5 of Love is Blind. Isn't it funny how Netflix takes forever to drop a follow-up season to the shows we actually want, like Sex Education? They take 10 years to give us a follow-up season, but when it comes to Love is Blind, I just feel like they're so good at keeping up with giving us seasons back to back to back. It almost feels overwhelming. I feel like I just got done finished watching season 4, and here we have yet another season to follow up and continue the charades and the drama. And also, it doesn't help, like the ultimatum and all that is produced by the same production company. So it all just feels like a long running Love is Blind universe. So I just feel like, didn't we just get done watching Love is Blind and yet we have another season of Love is Blind to follow up with? Yeah, so this is just going to be a quick and short video to give my thoughts on the cast members we have so far this season. So it's still in the early stages and we're still in the pod. So I'm just going to go through this really quickly, starting with the most boring people who I am about to forget as soon as I'm done talking about them. A firefighter named JP and this white blonde girl who is 25 years old, who I can't remember. They were the first two to, I can't remember her name or what she does for a living. I just know she expressed that she had some body image issues. She didn't used to love herself. So I'm assuming like maybe she had weight issues and she glowed up and she's looking gorgeous now and feeling more confident in herself. So her and the firefighter dude named JP, I also can't remember his full name. They were the most boring couple actually to me. I didn't really care for them and I can't really remember much about them. There are times in the pods I used to zone out because even their conversations weren't really scintillating. Like, Love is Blind always gives us like a couple that's kind of boring, but that's the stable couple that we're meant to root for. Like, as the audience, that's the one stable couple that will consistently root for throughout the season. So they're that JP, the firefighter, and the blonde girl who's 25, whose name I can't remember, and whose career I can't remember either. So the two of them were in the pods, they made a connection. I can't remember the conversations. He used to yawn a lot, so that tells you something. And then they saw each other. She didn't seem all that impressed with him. She pointed out that he had a gap tooth. We didn't notice, but she did. So that was the first couple to propose and get together, and they're going to be our stable, boring couple throughout the season that we can root for. If we have no one else to root for, we can root for them. Then next in the pod, someone else. Oh, Milton. So Milton is the youngest cast member this season. He's a engineer, something to do with petroleum. So he's a petroleum engineer. He's 24 years old at the time of the filming of Love is Blind. Oh, and this season 5 was filmed in Houston, Texas. And yeah, so he's 24 at the time of filming. He's the youngest cast member this season. And Milton looks like, if you ever watched the show Moesha, he looks like Moesha's younger brother with a jerry curl and like a fake overbite. That's how he looks like. And then his personality reminds me of like that middle-aged guy in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. If you ever watched that movie, I love that movie and I love that guy. Yeah, he reminds me of like, he has just that dorky personality, but I really like Milton. But he seems way too young and way too immature for this show and for marriage and all that stuff. So he gets engaged. He proposes to this lady who is 31 named Lydia, whose career, she's a geologist. That's how they end up connecting in the pods. They're both into rocks and geography and all that stuff. They're both really nerdy and they connect over the rocks and stuff. So they end up getting engaged, Lydia and Milton. And let's move on to Lydia. So Lydia was like, she's from Puerto Rico, she's Latinx, and she came in with that whole, I'm Latina, I'm spicy, I'm loud thing, but she was a bit too extra with it. So she turned off a lot of the guys that she was interested in, especially Izzy. He's a Mexican guy. We'll get into him later on in my review. yeah, she turned off a lot of guys. And Lydia just gives off, I know she's 31, which is not that old, but she gives off this vibe like she wants to be married so bad and she wants to be in love so bad. Like she's more in love with the idea of marriage and love that she doesn't even care who it's with. And she has this desperation floating through her. She's kind of giving Nancy from season 3, or was it 4? I think it was season 3 with Bartiz. She's kind of giving that Nancy vibe, like a lot of desperation to her. And she initially was interested in Izzy, but Izzy dumped her with a quickness. And she just kept on trying to find a way to stay on the show. And she kind of pressured Milton into proposing to her so she can stay on the show. And I'm low key thinking so that she can see and check out the other guys that she was hoping to form a connection with. Izzy was one of her first choices, who she was really into in the beginning at the pod stage, and he dumped her with a quickness. So that was out of the question. And apparently, she and another castmate, a guy named Uche, I'll talk about him later on, had some kind of fling, friends with benefits, long, extended, like one night stand situationship thing kind of going on. And it seems like she has some other intentions. It's like she wants to get her hooks back into these other guys that she previously had interest in. And she's using Milton as a way to stay on the show and get to the honeymoon stage and see these people in person and maybe try and ruin their whole thing going on. So that's Lydia for you. Next, we have who? Uche. So this is a guy from Africa, another African dude representing from Nigeria. Uche, he's 33 years old. He's a lawyer slash entrepreneur. He says he started his own software company. He was kind of vague about it. He's kind of boring, and he forms a connection with an ICU nurse named Aliyah. I liked Aliyah. She's 28. They seem to be hitting it off, Hai and Uche, until out of the blue, as they were having some great scintillating conversation, he asked, has she ever cheated? And Aliyah just decided to divulge so much information about, yes, she had cheated, how she cheated, why she cheated, and she just went into all this unnecessary detail, which honestly, she didn't owe him or us, the audience. But she just kept on, digging herself further and further into a hole. And then Uche turns around and starts judging her, and she starts crying. And then it's all up in the air. They were having a great connection, but now, because she's a recent cheater, as he said, she had cheated like 2 years prior to this show, to the time of filming this show. And she had been with this guy for 2 years up until that point. And the reason why she cheated, according to her, was because she was not getting satisfied. She had communicated this with dude, but he was still not willing and open to trying new things to get her off. So she went and got her needs met outside and broke up with him several months after it happened. But she had never divulged that information to the guy she was with. And here Uche goes really judging her and behaving like he's some kind of parent. It was just so weird, like the way he was judging her and how she felt like she owed him an explanation as though she had cheated on him. It was just a whole weird situation. So it's kind of up in the air between the two of them. She ends up crying, going back into the living quarters with the other women, and she's kind of thinking like, oh, it's over, I messed everything up. But all in all, they come back together, they work it out. Then Uche drops a bomb on Aliyah and tells her that he has actually been dating someone in the pods who is there in the competition with them, who is Lydia, who I had mentioned earlier in my review. And Lydia and him, he didn't go into so much detail, but when Aliyah goes back to the living quarters and asks Lydia about the whole situation, she says they've slept together. She just starts talking too much, and you kind of start wondering to yourself if like Lydia came on to Love Is Blind because she got wind of Uche might be there. She was trying to, rekindle something with him, because when they do a flashback to their pod date, Lydia and Uche, she tried to suggest that they should continue dating, but Uche is the one who declined. Uche is the one who dumped her initially, even outside of the pods when they knew each other. And in the pods, he was like, he doesn't want to continue with the whole dating thing because it would jeopardize the integrity of the experiment, because he already knows how she looks like and they've already tried it once before and he was not interested in a relationship with her. So she just starts talking too much, telling Ali about his car, his home. They've slept together as recently as January, which is at the time of filming, like 3 months prior. So this was apparently filmed this year, but like earlier this year, around like April. So by the time they're in the pods doing the experiment, it had been 3 months ago that the two of them, Uche and Lydia, had contact. So Alia is just torn up about it because her and Lydia had formed a friendship. They're one of the women in the living quarters who have become really close. And when she had told Uche about her whole cheating thing on her ex, like Lydia was there to really comfort her, and she kept on. It was a bit weird. It rubbed me the wrong way how she kept on projecting herself onto Aaliyah, talking about me and you are exactly the same, saying all this, and then to find out like she had dated Uche and she had known all this and she had not told Aaliyah about this, and Uche drops this bomb on her like much later on in the pod stage when they're about to do the reveal and the engagements. So it throws Aaliyah for a loop. And when Uche goes back into the pod, he's ready to propose to Aaliyah. He's waiting and waiting, and we're wondering, okay, what's going on? Is Aaliyah just kind of late? Is she having cold feet? There's a voice that comes over in the pod room where Uche is and says, oh, Aaliyah has dropped out of the competition. She's not going to come. So that is the cliffhanger we end on episode 4, and that is Uche and Aaliyah's story. So we're not sure, like, in episode 5, will he manage to convince her to come back and continue their whole relationship and what they're building? We don't know. So we move on to, there's this guy called Izzy. So he's a really good looking bald headed dude who's 29. I can't remember what he does for a living. Oh, he's an insurance guy. Yeah, he's good looking. He was adopted. He grew up a Jehovah Witness. He didn't get to experience, because of his belief, his parents' belief, didn't get to experience all those holiday and kind of things. So he wants to be, in his adulthood, wants to be a part of all that, holidays, Christmas, celebrating all of that. So he has, like, of all the guys, he seems to be hitting it. He seems to be the most popular guy with all the girls, like, well, with the most, he has the most amount of connections with the other ladies. So with Izzy, he drops Izzy with a quickness. So that's out of the question. So his 2 runner-ups is a girl named Johnny and another girl named Stacy, both white women. So Stacy is 33. She's a cute lady, dresses well. She has a bit of a bitchy persona, but I like Stacy overall. So far, so good. I don't have an issue with her. She has, like, a bit of a bitchy persona, but I feel like she has flaws that are relatable and not too much of a not too much of a red flag. She just seems like just chill. Her and Izzy in the pods, they seem to have a fun time. I like the two of them. They are actually so far my favorite couple. I see it for Izzy and Stacy. They remind me of season 1 with Barnett and Amber, how everyone was so shocked, like the Barnett and Amber thing, and they have also lasted all this while. Like, people always put Lauren and Cameron up as the flagship couple and forget that Barnett and Amber are still together all this time too. They have survived all this time, 5 years later, they're still together. And I actually even prefer them to Lauren and Cameron because they decided to just become private and have a real relationship outside of cameras and not turn them being into a relationship into a brand. They just decided to be regular people and just do the whole relationship thing as regular people outside of the public eye. So that's what Izzy, I'm seeing shades of that. I have hope for Izzy and Stacy. I see a potential for something beautiful there. But yeah, so Stacy and Izzy hit it off and they end up getting engaged. Like, Izzy was torn between Stacy and another girl, Johnny, who I do not like. Johnny creeps me out. So Johnny, like, is one of these people who gives me the sense like she's a lawyer and she's what, 30, 31 at the start of this show, at the time of filming. and she and Izzy like have those deep emotional conversations, serious, intense, and everything. She gives me the sense of like those people who know how to use their vulnerability and trauma to manipulate people and get people to feel sorry for them and feel protective over them. Like there's something just manipulative and creepy about her, and I feel like something is not all the way there with her. There's something like funny in the water with her. So I didn't like Johnny, and she has just like this weird hatred and jealousy and competitiveness towards Stacy. Like she was sensing that Stacy was her competition for Izzy, and she keeps on hating on Stacy. Like what I liked about Stacy came to play the game. She came for love. She came for herself. She was not focused on any of the other girls. She played it smart. She wasn't telling any of the other girls how it was going down with the men she was connecting with in the pod. She was playing her cards close to the chest. And I feel like that's very smart, because all this talking too much, sometimes it influences people's decisions. What goes on in the living quarters ends up influencing what goes in the pods and changing the outcome. So I feel like Stacy played it smart. I liked how she played her cards close to the chest, and she didn't badmouth any of the other women, not even in her confessionals. She was just focused on her and the guy she liked, which is Izzy, and their connection. And they made it to the engagement, and the both of them look good together. Both of them seem very happy with the other's physical appearance. They seem to be very attracted to each other. So I was happy for them. But then Johnny just kept on. Every time she would see Stacy coming back from the pods to the living quarters and looking happy from a date with Izzy, she in her confessional she would just be like, "Oh, they're not gonna last. They don't look like they'll go all the way. She just looks like she's just gonna have fun with him, but it's nothing serious. I wonder what kind of connection." She just kept hating the whole time. And look at that. She didn't even end up getting chose after all that hating and focusing on the wrong thing instead of focusing on herself. So yeah, so Johnny, she wanted Izzy. Izzy chose Stacy. Yay for them. I like the two of them together. But Izzy, I like Izzy. I think he's an attractive guy, but Izzy gives me F-boy vibes. He gives me like he's trying to create a harem and have like his pick. Like he wants to switch out these women like clothes. Like he wants Stacy on Monday, and he'll have a bit of Johnny on Tuesday, and he'll have Lydia no day. Like he just gives me a bit of an F-boy vibe. But I'm hoping that as it goes along, he will settle down and be like Barnett and surprise us, like how Barnett, well, surprised you, the audience. For me, I always rooted for Barnett and Amber, and I saw it coming from the pods that they would go all the way. But I feel like, for me, I feel like Izzy and Stacy will be that they'll be the couple. Like we'll be shocked like 5-10 years from now they're still together, they have these kids, they're happy. Please, Izzy, don't let me down. I'm rooting for you. He does have F-boy vibes, but I feel like Stacy will rein him in, and they'll balance each other out, and they'll make it work. So Johnny, she also had like another contender. So she was interested in Izzy. He was her number one, but she also had another guy, Chris, who I also don't like. He gives me a bit of a he gives me nice guy trademark vibes. You know, those nice guys who say they're nice guys and feel entitled, and really they're like manipulative, and they're not really nice. Those are the vibes I get from Chris. I can't remember what he does for a living. I think he's in his 20. He's 28. I can't remember what they just list his job as project manager, whatever that is. That's so like vague. Yeah, so he's 28, he's a project manager. He's one of Johnny's contenders. So he was her number two. She even describes him as that. And she ends up prematurely dumping him because she has such a strong faith in hers and Izzy's connection, until Izzy, pulls the rug from up under her. Then she has to do this whole embarrassing backtrack sliding dance, moonwalking back to Chris and telling him, you know what, all along it was kind of you. You're the guy who is safe. That's why I didn't choose you, but I should have chosen you all along. And so Chris goes back with this information to the men's living quarters, and him and Izzy get to talking, and basically it's like, what's her name? It's like Johnny had given Chris and Izzy the same version, like the same story but in opposite sides. So she had told Izzy that okay, she chose him and he was her number one because he's not the safe guy. Like Chris is the safe guy. She knows how it will be with him, but it will be safe and boring. And then on the flip side, she tells Chris she chose Izzy over him initially, and then ended up backtracking because he was the unpredictable guy, and that's what she usually chooses. And now she didn't want to choose the safe guy because she was not sure how it would go with the safe guy. It was just all over the place. Like she's a lawyer, so she knows how to play around with words. She knows how to play with these guys. But yeah, so Chris, he's thinking about it and he ends up saying no. So this is where we're at on with the first 4 episodes. We're going to see what's going to happen when these people go into the honeymoon. So far the couples that are together is JP and the girl that whose name I can't remember. The 20 JP is the firefighter, the 25-year-old blonde girl whose name I can't remember. Then we have Milton, who is 24, and Lydia, 31. Then we have Izzy and Stacy, who I have a lot of faith in. They're my favorite couple. I'm rooting for them. I feel like they'll be like the dark horse who, everyone else will be surprised that they made it to the end. But I feel like they are Barnett and Amber 2.0. I see it for them. I see it for them. Izzy just needs to get a hold of his F-boy ways, which I peep, but that's something we can get under control. Izzy, hopefully. I'm rooting for him and Stacy. And then we have, what's her name? We have Lydia and Chris, who I can't remember if Chris ended up proposing to her or not. I think we are left on a cliffhanger with that. So yeah, we are waiting for the other 4 or 5 episodes to drop on the 29th, which is Thursday, I believe. And I'll be here with another review for you at that time. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below which is your favorite couple. Who do you like so far? For me, it's Stacy and Izzy. I feel like they're another Barnett and Amber 2.0. They're a dark horse that will end up surprising all of us. I have hope for them, but Izzy does worry me a bit. He does have F-boy ways. Stacy is a bit bitchy, but she has great style, pretty girl, and she has flaws that I feel like are easy to work with and are quite relatable. There's nothing really with her that I saw that was just a blaring red flag. I do not like Johnny. She gives me creepy vibes. I don't like Chris either. He does give me trademark nice guy vibes. He also has the same thing that Johnny does, where he like understands how, I feel like he uses his trauma to manipulate people and get sympathy out of people and kind of just manipulate you and confuse people and give this false sense of like closeness to people. Like when he told Johnny in the pause, one of their pod dates, he revealed to her like, okay, so they just randomly the talking points this season, they just randomly brought up, okay, so how did you lose your virginity? Okay. She says, oh yeah, I lost it when I was in high school, blah blah blah. And then he's like, okay, I lost my virginity when I was 17 on a trip in Mexico, but I didn't want to. Basically, he's saying he was SA'd in Mexico. He didn't really give detail. I wasn't sure if he was SA'd by a Mexican chick or he was SA'd by people he had gone to the trip to Mexico. Anyway, those just, yeah. I mean, believe all victims and men can be victims of sexual assault too, but I don't know. There's something about how he brought that story and how I just don't like Chris or Johnny. They're both weird people to me and manipulative, and there's something just low-key toxic about both of them to me. So let me know in the comments down below, who are your favorite contestants this season? Who are your favorite couples? Who are you rooting for? Are you rooting for Izzy and Stacy like me? Do you agree? Do you disagree? and I'll be back with another review for you next when they drop the other 4 or 5 episodes. So this is Take 254. I'm your host Sybil. Thank you. Bye.